Welcome everyone. I hope you can all hear me. I've got bright lights on me at the moment, so I'm probably going to get a suntan here. So welcome to the 4th Biennial Henry Royce Institute Conference, and the theme for this session is, or this conference is very much around collaborate to innovate, and we'll be hearing about that more and more during the day today and tomorrow. For those that don't know me, I'm Dave Knowles, so I'm the CEO of the Henry Royce Institute. I have to say the last one we did of these was online, and I was sat, it was about 2 years ago, and I remember being quite nervous, sat down in front of a monitor. I think it was the first time I'd ever presented, so it's a very different feel here, and it's nice to see people. Obviously, we were a little bit limited in space, and actually we were starting quite early to get things into the 2 days, so we are filming these sessions. They will be available for people to come back and look, so if you have colleagues that are interested or people that couldn't come, then do please reference those, and we'll put them up on, I think on YouTube, aren't we, Judith, later on. So the other thing is, I don't know whether to apologise or celebrate the weather, but it's going to be hot. That's all I'm going to say. So if you feel a bit overwhelmed, there's too much going on, please get up and go out and get some fresh air. We've tried to keep air recirculating, but yeah, it might get a little bit stuffy in here as we move through the morning, but be aware of that. The other thing was fire alarms. So people have heard the fire alarm this morning, those that were here early. There are no other planned fire alarms. So if there is one, well, I hope it's not real, but it means it's a proper fire alarm. So we do then have to go out, usual stuff, don't start to take all your bags and computers with you. But we meet in actually the grass square at the front by the Roscoe building. If you see people with green tops on, they're the people that you should go to if you've got any questions or comments in that regard. I think that's it in terms of housekeeping. I have to say, I've only caught up with a few of you as been going around, but it's great to see a real wide spectrum of the community here, covering all sorts of different disciplines. I really would like to thank you all, actually, for all the stuff that you've been doing over the last year or two, just really raising the profile of materials and advanced materials. I hope Royce has done its little bit in that regard, but I think we really have got traction with government and other bodies. We are seeing real momentum with that in the UK, and I think that's a testament to what everybody's doing there. And we're going to hear a bit more about that as we move through the sessions today. So to kickstart just for this morning, what we're going to focus on is a series of sort of keynote presentations, and they're going to explore some of the UK's biggest challenges and biggest challenge topics. This afternoon, what we'll do then is we'll take those introductory sessions and actually move them into, some of them will be panels, some of them will be presentation sessions. There'll be smaller focus sessions with different formats for different groups. But hopefully then you'll be able to pick up and discuss things in more detail and do a little bit more networking in that regard. But of course, this is only the start of these things. It's an opportunity for you to meet people and continue those conversations as things go through. So what I'm going to do is start with a little bit of an introduction about Royce. I'll try not to make it too repetitive for those that have seen before, a little bit about how we're moving on. And then we'll move into I guess what you'll see is the more interesting talks from various different people that we've got here this morning. So before I do that, I should acknowledge EPSRC, who actually support Royce. They fund Royce down through government. And it's not just actually the funding. I'd really like to thank them for all their insight and input. There's a number of people that are heavily involved from EPSRC that support Royce and actually the impact that we're having around materials. So it's great that they're getting more involved with that. So thanks to them. Okay. So, just before I get going, cool, it's quite hard to see here. I'm going to do my neck as I turn around. We do have, as we're asking questions this morning, we're going to use a bit of technology that people have probably come across before, Slido, where you log on to the Slido website. The event code is there. And then you can put your questions in if you have questions. We're probably not going to have a huge amount of time for questions, but we will try to get through them at that stage. So if you want, you can have a go at that. Log something. I'll see what's coming in down here, see if it's getting it to work. And just session. Now, having said that, when we come to the next talk, we're actually live streaming the next talk after mine, and we're having to do it through the Wi-Fi. So can I please say that despite the fact that we've got this technology, can you then not start cruising and looking at the web, because you might affect the bandwidth and we might lose the connection. So it's all working. I've got 2 or 3 things coming through. So if If you're really struggling with questions and it's not going to work, I'm going to throw a cube at you later on if you've really got something desperate to ask. Although I won't be able to throw it to the back. I think you're a bit far there. So, okay. So, Royce obviously was developed. It was very much built on that framework that the UK's got this real excellence. People at the back, if you want to come down, there's plenty of seats around the corner. If you do it quietly, I'll carry on, don't worry. It's not embarrassing walking down in front of me as I'm talking, so it's fine. We're very much established around the recognition of the UK's excellence in materials innovation, advanced materials research, and Royce was established to accelerate that and to support it and actually provide a lot of infrastructure. And I think I would say it's doing that and it's doing more in that regard. But it is that recognition, and we are adding to what's already there in the UK and hopefully stimulating and supporting that more. We're now very much a national institute with a regional footprint. You'll have seen this slide before, but every time I put it up, we have a new dot on it. So, you know, we're now spread well around the country. I can actually talk about a location now. We're in Strathclyde. We have an operation, an activity there, leading largely with the advanced metals processing theme. But of course, we interact with lots of other institutes and catapults around the country. So if you look at this map, this is just where facilities are located. It's not where we're involved and engaged. We're doing that much more at a national and an international level in that regard. But that regional and that national aspect is really important and keeps coming out in activities that we're doing. I think it's quite staggering where we've come from. If you'd walked down into this campus a few years ago, you'd have just seen a hole in the ground. You know, we've now got the Royce building, which is a major 7-story building you'll see, which is just back the road from us. But we've also got new buildings. If you went down to Imperial at White City, there's a URM building that's gone up in the time that I've been here since 2016. We've got new buildings in 2 new buildings in Sheffield. We've got new laboratories in different locations at places like Oxford. We're already into the Maxwell Institute in Cambridge, which was already up and running, which gave us an advantage there. But then if you went to UKAEA, you see a whole new building and laboratories, you know, with hot cells and stuff. So it's really exciting, really interesting, incredibly diverse, all the things that you see as you move around. But it's a real testament to all the work that's gone on. You know, and we've really now got working labs everywhere. Everything is finished. So we've got no more excuses. I guess that's a problem for me. But it means we should be delivering now. We're not perfect, but we have progressed substantially from where we were. Now, the mission is very much based around 4 principles for Royce. It's around foresighting, it's around facilities, it's around catalyzing industrial collaboration and technology translation, and it's around fostering skills development. And if I just look at some of those and say, well, what's happening in some of those areas, and just a snapshot of those. If I look at the first one around foresighting. So, a few years ago, we very much started looking at big top-down national challenges. If you look at where we came in over a few years, we had one which was a focus around materials for the energy transition. And there's a huge amount of work, particularly at the moment, I'd say still working on the low-loss electronics side. You know, that's still got real momentum, it's still moving forward, and it's been a great success. Materials for fusion started. We're going to hear more about that today. Amanda Quadling is going to talk about that and actually kicking that and moving that on. We're going to hear more about hydrogen today. So we've got Liz Rousel talking, and there's a session in the afternoon about how that, and that's been a huge focus for us going forward. And then Jack, he's talking as well today about the Material 4.0, which we all know is a really key area for materials. I think we're all still struggling a little bit to move it forward at the pace that we want to in that regard. So we see that as a key topic. So I think these have been fantastic areas for driving activities from a top down. What we've also been doing, though, is working very closely with government and looking at how we naturally move to developing a national materials innovation strategy. So through this year, the start of this year, we put together a materials futures document. We worked very closely with what was BAYS, but it's now DSIT in that regard. It's led by now a materials innovation leadership group. We've got Alan Cook, Alan, hand. Now, he's really, I'm really pleased he's chairing that group. And that's a small group, but it's very much overseeing that at a national level and an independent level for us as a community and engaging with that. We'll hear a little bit more about that in the day, but you can come and talk to me in that regard as well. But it's very much focusing on what the priorities should be for materials in the UK, because we can't do everything. It's giving us some focus. Facilities, you've heard a lot about facilities, and I think a lot of people still think that facilities is one of the major parts of Royce. Well, it is, but it's only that 1/4 part. But we are at the stage now where we've got well over 400 items of kit. This is a bit out of date, this slide. We've got over £200 million worth of facilities, and we keep expanding and growing those facilities. In the last year, we've added a lot to areas that's supporting the foundation industries, for instance. So it's a continually evolving area and growing, and it's trying to do it in a very pragmatic way now. But the users are there, we've got people coming, we want more people to come and use it, whether that's the SME community, or whether that's large industry, or whether it's the academic or the international community. So please do keep coming along. It's proving really successful with the higher education establishments, lots of students. We want more industrial engagement. We want more industry to come and use that. One of the focuses, those facilities very much cover making things, characterizing things, and testing things. Now we've put the make and the test very much into platforms. We've now got 30 what we call technology platforms. The imaging and characterization is much broader. And so what we've done today is, because it covers so many different areas, we've got a bit of a showcase. Now that started at 9 today, so some of you may, if you got in really early, may have gone and had a bit of a look at that. But over lunchtime today, and actually into tomorrow in the morning early on, if you come in early, or over lunch again, there's an opportunity to go and discuss that with people. There's tables that are covering all the different areas, from surface analysis through to more traditional TEM, through to some sort of really new areas, and XCT, etc. in that regard. So please do go along and visit that. It will be a little bit of a warm visit, but you've got to trot along there, but it is cooler in that building. So you may welcome it when you get there, but you do have to come back. So there's no excuses. Now, catalyzing industrial collaboration, and I think I should have really called this technology translation. This is probably the single most important area for Royce as we move forward. There's a lot going on in this space. We're doing a lot. Last year, or a few years ago, I've talked to you about sustain and what we were doing and interacting things like, major projects with the steel industry linked to Warwick and Swansea, etc. Now I'll be talking to you about things like FISC, which is the Foundation Industries and Consortium linking with Glass Futures and Materials Processing Institute and Lucidian and others. So there's and linked to Innovate. In terms of regional activity, previously, I've been talking to you about the Sustainable Materials Innovation Hub, which is a whole floor over in the Royce building, which Mike Shaver is talking later, heads up. That's actually progressing brilliantly. Now we're moving on to another regional activity, which is around looking at a centre of expertise in advanced materials and sustainability. Again, that case has a Manchester focus, but there are others. So these regional initiatives that Royce are involved in around translation and supporting innovation, and also national ones, and they're equally important. And we're having to push in both those different areas. Hydrogen's got a major focus. I can't see if Bob Sorrell's somewhere. Oh yeah, wave your arm, Bob. You've snuck into the corner there. So Bob's been doing a great job with Robin Morris, Royce, really driving activity around hydrogen. There's real focus for us now about bringing funding in, substantial funding in to support that. So it's not just about equipment, it's about real momentum to support people, and I think that's something you'll hear more about. But that hydrogen, Royce Hydrogen Centre is a really exciting initiative about bringing major funding in to support the research activity that we need around hydrogen in the UK. And we have another initiative, Accelerate Zero, which is very much in partnership with a number of the technology translation offices across a number of different universities, which we're going to hear more from Gillian Davis tomorrow. Martin Carroll is heading. I don't know if Martin's here. I haven't seen him yet. I don't think he's arrived. But this is very much around working with industry and research in a very much a collaborative way about accelerating the translation of materials really linked to net zero in that regard through, and hopefully getting that down from a 20-year to a 7-year time frame, but very much looking at the pull that's coming from industry in that regard. And you'll hear more about that tomorrow. And of course, we're still supporting things through our equipment access schemes, making those available. We're actually appointing a lot of people, application scientists and research fellows. So these are people that can jump on and off projects, short-term projects to support industry, and particularly SMEs. These are appointments we've made this year, and they're real changes to the infrastructure of Royce, and actually that delivery aspect of Royce. It's quite an exciting time. Again, also, we've still got the innovation space. We're still using that space, understanding how to use that, and having an industrial secondment. So if you've got interest in these areas, please come along and talk to me, or Phil Withers, our chief scientist, or Anya Jolie, I can't see Anya, right at the back, who looks after research and business development in that regard. And the other thing is seeding innovation. We're not here to fund large long-term research programs, but we're very much here to stimulate innovation. And actually, when I've looked back now, over the last 2 years, we've put over 9 million into over 100 projects. You know, that's a substantial, they've all had really good impact. We've got some great case studies that have come out of those. They're all typically less than 3 months, but we see those as stimulating activity and really driving change. And they've been a really extreme success stories for us. They're high maintenance, there's a lot of work to do, as people will realise that have been involved, but they've been really successful. And of course, finally, it's all about skills development. I'm not going to talk about all the PhDs that come and access the facilities, we've talked about that before, but I would raise a hand to say, you know, we've been heavily engaged with things like the Discover Materials activity, which is about bringing a younger generation in. I've been here 5 years now. You know, that's a whole group of PhDs, or almost 2 groups of PhDs that have gone through the system, and you see how quickly people are coming and using the capabilities, and that younger group of people flowing in, and we need to actually keep that chain moving of those individuals. That's really exciting. The other thing that's changing a lot is we're doing a lot more now in terms of technical upskilling. A lot of programs in the last 6 months around what the facilities and capabilities can do, and bringing people into that area. So there's a lot coming up today. I don't know if you can read that. I can't read it on this screen, but obviously we're going to go through the plenary sessions this morning. This afternoon, we're going to move into those breakout sessions. So it's very much the top-down big stuff today. Tomorrow, there's going to be much more of a focus on the research areas. So we're going to get more into the science and look at breaking down the different research areas, have talks in the different themes in that area. So that's something for us to look forward to.